name is Rachel. Today, we are going through all of the books, movies, and TV shows that I engaged with last month. For some reason, I didn't mention this in the last video, but this idea is like, I'm fully copying Christine Riccio, also known as Polar Bananas Books.
Hello, I'm Christine, and it's time for Stories I Ate This Month. Stories I Ate This Month.
Off the hook, but the phone never rang. Beast on the beats, no claws, no fangs.
And that's what I'm basing my, February wrap-up after, because I'm like, I don't want to just talk about books, because I don't read enough books anymore. I actually met up with a friend recently, and she was like, oh, yeah, you have a YouTube channel? I assume that you'll be doing, book reviews or something. And I was like, well, if only I read enough books for that to be true. Because, in high school, I would read, 100 books a year. So, I brought books to school and read them there. But because February is a shorter month, by 2 days, the list is a little shorter than it was for last month. So, to begin with, I caught up on Heartstopper. I hadn't read the December or the January episodes, so I read those 6 episodes, and I also read the 3 February ones. It was nice to catch up on it, because I haven't been keeping track of a lot of my webtoons. I need to go back and catch up with a lot of them, because I haven't been keeping up with Wayne Family Adventures either, and I need to. Heartstopper is a high school story set in England. It's about these boys, Charlie and Nick, are the main characters, and then in the show, they branch out more about the supporting cast, but in the webtoon, it really is localized to just Nick and Charlie. It's just a cutesy little story. I like the art style of the webtoon. I'm trying to remember, because I read them at the beginning of February, so I'm trying to remember if anything dramatic happened. So yeah, I guess I should do that so that way I can, keep notes about things, so that things that I read at the beginning of the month aren't, lost to my brain. Yeah, I think I would give the episodes that I read probably 4 out of 5 stars. There wasn't anything wrong with them, but seeing as how I can't remember any specific details, they probably weren't standout episodes anyway, unless I'm just forgetting. I don't know. The next thing that I read this month was Young Justice Dark Crisis. I read all 6 of them, but I only have physical copies of the first 2 because, again, I have the DC Infinite app. If you follow me on Instagram, you have already seen my review of this series. Anything that I read, I post a review of it on my Instagram story. So Young Justice Dark Crisis is part of the DC Dark Crisis event. Did I read any of the other DC Dark Crisis event comics? No, of course not. But as you can tell from the cover, Bart, Tim, and Con go missing, and Cassie has to find them. So if you just start this right after reading Young Justice, you will be a little bit confused, because it's not a direct sequel, and it does heavily rely on the assumption that you've read the other Dark Crisis events, which of course I hadn't. But the DC Fandom Wiki is really great. The thing about DC Comics is that because they want you to read more comics and buy more comics, everything's really intertwined. So I'm collecting Tim Drake's Robin run from the 90s, because I was like, oh, I like Tim Drake. I'll go ahead and have all of his comics, and then I can read that all the way through. There are so many crossovers in his series with other comics. Even to begin with, he has, a crossover with Huntress, which I love Huntress. She's great. I don't have her comics, though. I only know her from, Justice League Unlimited. I almost said Young Justice. No, that's these people. For issue 2, I have the variant cover. I thought the series was fun. I thought that it did a great job at, integrating the different realities, because the reason that Young Justice is different from now, why they have Young Justice from the 90s and then Young Justice 2019 is because different realities have happened. Okay, now going into more spoilery things. I really liked that they brought Sissy back for this comic, because I've read a couple issues of Young Justice from the 90s, and I really liked Sissy, and I was happy to see her again. But oh my gosh, she and Cassie are completely ruthless. Literally, at one point, like, in the beginning, like, this is what sparks, like, Cassie's freak out about the boys disappearing, because nobody believes that the boys have actually disappeared. They're like, they are just, like, you know, they're having a boys' trip to deal with their grief. And it's like, guys. We just saw all of these people die. And now Tim, Con, and Bart are missing. And you don't think maybe they're also... You know, it's just like... Maybe we should pay attention to them more. Especially when, like, Dick said that, I was like... Come on, man. And, like, Wally also did that. Or was it Wally? I think it was Wally. I can't remember. One of the other Flashes was like, you know, Bart, he's just so crazy. You can never know what to expect from him. And it's like... Can we maybe care that they're missing and they haven't told anyone where they're coming from, where they're going, or when they're coming back? Like, I get, like, going undercover, and, like, maybe you think that they're off dealing with their grief, but, like, Cassie's like, they literally disappeared in front of me. I'm not saying that they left when I wasn't looking. I'm saying they were there 1 second, they weren't there the next. Can we maybe, I don't know, collaborate on finding them? Like, right before, Cassie sees that they're gone, like, right before they disappear, she said, all of us are in the same room, pretending like the last few years never happened. Half of us have died, and I just wish that some of them would have stayed dead. And then, boop, is a sound effect. And she goes, what was that? Like, she literally hears them disappear out of the universe. And then, of course, she blames herself. And has, like, a guilt complex about that for, a little bit. But then, of course, the boys, like, appear in this, like, alternate reality type place that, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm putting it on screen. This guy's son is the one who kidnapped them and took them into this, like, I don't even know, pocket dimension. And he did that with, like, the other, like, the actual Justice Leaguers, too. Like, oh my gosh. Like, yes, it was Wally. Wally's like, I don't have time for teen angst. The boys are missing! Cassie literally said, I don't even think they're on this planet. And you said, I don't have time for teen angst? John at least is like, I wish I knew where he was. I need his help. And then, like, there was something else that, like, Sissy said that was, like, crazy. And I was literally like, oh my god. Sissy said something. And it's probably in the digital comics. And so I can't go looking through that unless, I stopped my audio recorder. I think I took a screenshot of something. Or maybe that was Young Justice 19. I don't remember. I'll go back through and, like, post the screenshot of the panel. Right here. Yeah, but some of the things that Cassie and Sissy were saying, I was just like... I thoroughly enjoyed these. I believe I gave it 5 stars. When I posted on Instagram. Yes, okay, I did give it 5 stars, which is what I thought. It was a really fun series. Next up I read was also a Young Justice centered comic. I read the Jinny Hex Special number 1. Also on the DC Infinite app. For one thing, I thought that it would be longer. Like, I knew there was only 1 issue, but I thought since there was only 1 issue and it was a special, it would be longer. Was not the case. I tried originally reading it before I read Young Justice, and I was like, oh, wait, and then I saw, like, there's, like, a little note under one of the panels that's like, see Young Justice, blah, 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 for context. And I was like, oh, I have to read Young Justice 2019 first. Got it. And so I read that. And then I read Dark Crisis. And then I was like, okay, it's finally time to read Jinny Hex. I'm so excited. Because I also kind of thought that Jinny Hex would be in this, but she wasn't. None of the 2019ers were in this comic at all, except for the core 4 on the cover here. But so I jumped back into Jinny Hex, and I was excited to see her again. But then, like, we didn't really learn anything more about her. We barely learned about anything in that trunk that she had in Young Justice 2019, full of magical artifacts from her great-great-grandfather or whatever. And I was like, is this it? We got a little more backstory about her and her mom. I don't know, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I wouldn't say that it was necessarily bad. It just wasn't what I was expecting, and it just wasn't enough. You know what I mean? Going into a little spoilery stuff, it's basically this guy who says that he's her dad, but he comes to her and he's like, hey, I'm your dad. I heard that your mom died. I didn't know she had a daughter. And they like reconnect, and then Jinny shows him the box of stuff that her mom gave her passed down from their ancestor Jonah Hex. And this is when things get a little bit, Instead of them, like, figuring out all of the stuff in the box together, they're like, what if we made this guy evil and also immortal because he met Jonah Hex and Jonah Hex tried to kill him and failed? What if we did that? And it's like, oh, his whole reason for going to Jinny's mom was because he wanted to get this, like, orb thingy. And so he gets the orb thingy. He, like, sneaks into the box when Jinny's not there. And, like, puts the orb thingy in his forehead. And it becomes, like, a third eye type thing. And it's, like, a reality altering thing. So he then, like, sends, like, a wave of evil out into the town, and it turns into this, like, old-timey western saloon town. And he becomes, like, the mayor of the town, or, like, the sheriff. And then Jinny and her friends have to, like, stop him. And that's it! He takes over the friend's body at one point and, like, possesses her, but then her friend, through, like, a sisterly bond that they have, is able to, like, I don't want to hurt Jinny, so I'm gonna kill you from the inside. And they do that. And then I think that there's, like, it ends on, like, a cliffhanger where it's like, oh, she's, like, seeing her mom, because he brought her mom back from the dead, but not really. It's not really her. It's just, like, a puppet version of her to get Jinny to do what he wants, which he's able to do because of the orb thing in his forehead. And she says to Jinny, nothing ever really dies. And then we end the comic on the corpse of her dad. And it's like, was there a sequel for this? No, it just ends and we never see anything more. And so I looked up, like, comics that Jinny Hex is in. And I was like, oh, she's briefly in The Outsiders and the other comics that I already read, and I think that's it. She's in some Flash comics, I think, but I don't want to just start Flash in the middle of it just to see Jinny Hex. I'm like, what? She was so cool. What happened? Everybody else from the 2019ers seems to have, like, their own, like, comic run, because, like, Teen Lantern has a comic run. I think she's actually just in the Green Lantern comics, though, so it maybe just be about all of them. Amethyst, I know gets her own comic run. Naomi also gets a comic run, and she also got a TV show on the CW, and I'm like, what happened to Jinny? Why did she just get one special? What? That's it? Nothing else? And then maybe in The Outsiders? I read the first 2 issues of Outsiders, which is mostly about Kate and Luke, who are also in the Bat family. But Jinny's not been in those 2 episodes, and it kind of feels a little bit like a Monster of the Week type comic series. It feels a little bit like Torchwood, actually. Now that I'm thinking. It feels a little bit like Torchwood. What?
You want to go to Waffle House? You can pause it.
Okay, back from Waffle House. I was talking about Jinny Hex. I really hope that maybe in the future, Jinny will get, like, an actual comic run. But I doubt it. Yeah, I've given it 2 stars. Not because I don't like Jinny. Obviously, I love Jinny. But, like, we didn't really get to see anything about her as a character. It was just kind of, yeah, underwhelming. So yeah, 2 stars for Jinny Hex Special number 1. So next I get to talk about Doctor Who Season 9, which is the last season we have with Clara. And I don't know if you watched the last episode of this where I talked about Season 7 and 8 and my strong dislike of Clara. I know for a fact that there was one part of that video that I cut because I realized, oh wait, no, that happened in Season 9. So I'm going to play that now. Clara's a hypocrite and homophobic. And then later on, I don't know if it's in this season or in the next season, but later on they're like, Clara's like, yeah, I hooked up with Jane Austen. And I'm like, no, you didn't! First of all, if Jane Austen was gay, she would not be hooking up with Clara, okay? Second of all, Clara's homophobic. She is not bisexual. Get her out of here! So yeah, was super not a fan of Clara to begin with, but this season really I was like, ugh. There were definitely episodes that I liked a lot. Even some that had Clara in them. We had a character from the previous season, Rigsy, come back, and I enjoyed seeing him again. Yeah, there were some episodes that I thought were really fun, and then others where Clara was just so terrible and awful I couldn't get past it. For this season, it kind of felt like I was just, like, going through the motions of watching the episode so I could get to the end of the season, because I knew that there was a new companion for Season 10. I just didn't like it, and I don't think that I like the Doctor as much with Clara as his companion. I feel like there's something that she brings out of him that I don't enjoy. This season was also, like, set up in an interesting way, where almost every single, like, story arc was a two-parter. And I don't think that there was one that wasn't a two-parter, actually. And I kind of liked that. It gave the stories, like, more room to breathe, and they could delve in further and, like, explain things. Because a lot of this with Clara has been really, like, fast-paced and, like, convoluted. So it was nice to, like, slow down. Even though it did make watching it a little bit harder because, me and Beth Ann are watching over FaceTime, like, after we get off work together. So then it's like, okay, so we would technically have enough time to watch another one. However, we can't watch another one because we knew that the episode directly after that was going to be the part 2, and it was going to be a cliffhanger. And so we were just kind of stuck. But I do kind of feel like we would have been able to get through it faster if they weren't all two-parters. But I think it was a good choice for them to make them all two-parters. Must have been terrible to watch as they were coming out, though, because, like, every other episode you were left on a cliffhanger. Going into more spoilery things to talk about the episodes that I did like, I thought the Under the Lake episodes, and then the Before the Flood, where they go back in time, I thought that was really good. Because we haven't had an episode that's really timey-wimey in quite a bit, and so it was fun to see the Doctor, like, using the TARDIS to travel back in time and figure out what was going on and why these, like, ghost bodies were in the water. I also really liked the introduction of Me as a character. I'm gonna call her Me because that's what she calls herself. I think having her there as, like, another person for the Doctor to interact with was, like, great. And I wouldn't say that I enjoyed Peter Capaldi's scenes with her more than I enjoyed his scenes with Clara. But it was a little bit refreshing, if I'm going to be honest. It was nice to let him have somebody else to talk to. I think that episode arc maybe could have been split up, so we, like, had some time to forget about her. So, like, put the girl who died, and then the next 2 episodes, and then the woman who lived. And then we had the best episode ever, Face the Raven. I literally, as she was dying, I literally was like, good news! She's dead! I was so thrilled. You have no idea how thrilled I am to see her dead. Like, the entire time that she and the Doctor are having this, like, conversation, like, knowing, oh, Clara's about to step outside of the house and go die. The entire time they're having this conversation, me and Beth Ann are sitting there like this. I wish I could care. Literally, Beth Ann was like, I wish I could care about this. And I was like, me too. I cannot care about this scene at all. Like, they're building up the emotions of it, and, like, they're, like, sad, and, like, there's a, like, I think there's a crying moment, but I don't honestly remember. I blocked that out. Because I was like, I don't care about that. And that's the only time I've ever been thrilled for a companion to leave. But she's just, like, so annoying, and I was just so glad to see her go. And then they had the audacity to bring her back. Oh my god. I literally pushed the laptop away and I said, no. I did like that episode though, because we got to see another thing where a Time Lord switched genders. And so they're like really like, okay, we know what we're doing next season, so we've really got to like put some clues in that this, like, you know, that this can happen. Because they had that one Time Lord switch from being a guy to being a girl. And she was like, oh my gosh. Like, she's like, I think it was like implied that body that we saw her in first was the first time she had been a guy, and she was just like, oh, I'm so glad to be back in a normal body. She like hated being a man. And I think that's something interesting, and I look forward to seeing that with Jodie Whittaker being touched upon. I don't know if they'll actually do anything about it though. And then we got our last episode with River, and it was so good. And like, she didn't even recognize him at first, and then like the doctor being like, oh, does she just, like, marry people to get what she wants? That, like, doubt about River actually caring about him until, like, her main speech at the end. It's just, like, it was so good. I really liked the River episode. I loved the reveal that, like, night on that planet is, like, years long. And so that they had a lot more time than we were originally led to believe. And they brought up Jim the Fish again. And the guy was like, Jim the Fish. We all know Jim the Fish. And then me and Ben were both like, we don't! Explain Jim the Fish! Please! Who is Jim? Why is he a fish? What's happening? I love her so much. She's so dear to me. And it's just like, we could have had a River season, and instead we got Clara. Why on earth they didn't put River as the companion, I will never understand. And I get that, like, River has, like, her own life, and that's why she's not a companion. But you know who also had their own life? Amy and Rory. So if Amy and Rory can have their own life, River can too. She's their daughter. I thought the finale was fun. Like, it's obviously a Superman spoof, but, like, oh my gosh, it was so fun. And, like, having, like, the Lois Lane character, like, not recognized. Oh my gosh, the finale was so fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm switching between 2 stars and 3 stars because there were some, like, really cool moments in there, and they killed Clara off, so obviously they get points for that. But then they brought her back, so didn't do those killing points go away? I don't know. Also, Missy in the first 2 episodes, like, just, like, being a menace to Clara. I was like, she's so mean. I know that the intention was to make us dislike Missy, but honestly, I was like, is Missy becoming my new favorite character? Because I'm relating to her so hard right now. I, too, would shove Clara down a hole. And I didn't realize that that's from Doctor Who. Because I'd seen that scene before where someone was like, how far down do you think it is? Shove, shove. And then Topply down and be like, oh, about however many feet. I'd, like, seen that. I think it was, like, a TikTok audio at one point. Like, a trending TikTok audio. But I didn't realize originally that it was from Doctor Who. So it started happening, and I was like, wait, I've seen this before. Like I said, I really did enjoy the, like, 2-parters. But then, on the other hand, I hated that they were all 2-parters. So I really don't, like, it feels like, there were so many, like, good things and then so many, like, bad things. So I think, yeah, 2 stars for Doctor Who Season 9. The last thing that we have to talk about for the month of February is Arcane Season 1. which was a rewatch. I originally watched it when it first came out, but that was like a couple years ago, and I haven't rewatched it since. So when I tried to watch Arcane Season 2, I was like, I don't know what's happening. I thought I knew what was going on, but I really don't. Like, I remembered, like, the base things that happened, and I think that I could have probably continued watching Season 2, because I watched, like, the first 2 episodes of Season 2, but I was like, I don't know. I kind of want to go back so that I, like, fully understand what's going on moving forward. The art style of Arcane is just so... I don't even know how to explain it. I don't have the words for it. But, like, if you've seen Arcane, you know how gorgeous it is. I think the way that they do, like, smoke, in particular, I really, really like. And explosions and stuff. It's, like, so pretty. It's so nice to get to rewatch it, like, knowing what was going to happen. So I was, like, already, like, invested in the world, because I've never played League of Legends, so I had no idea about the world and the lore or anything. So, like, the first time I watched, obviously I was, like, focused on, like, the world building and, like, trying to figure out magic and how that worked, and, like, this academy and the school system and the government. So I couldn't fully appreciate the art, because my brain was like, okay, so they're not are they I don't know. What form of government? Huh? I also think that the first time I watched Arcane, when they called it the Undercity, I legitimately thought it was underground. I want to say that I watched or read something where they literally have an underground part of the city. I know there's something in Doctor Who about that on New York. Isn't there? I think so. But I want to say, do they have that in Attack on Titan too? I think they do. Speaking of, I need to finish Attack on Titan, because I've only ever watched the first half of the final season, because I watched it dubbed, and the dub of the second half of season 4 wasn't available yet. And I rewatched it with my dad, and now I know that the dubbed version is out, and so I need to watch that. It holds up great on the rewatch. Oh! Spoilery thing that I did want to talk about. The Jinx and Echo fight is so good. And it's because of the, like, pain that it causes. Oh, and Vanessa told me that they cut out a scene, and in that scene, it's back when, Jinx first starts, like, being with Silco, and, like, Echo apparently was, like, gonna try and go save her, and, like, attempted to, like, get her out of there because he thought she was there against her will. He didn't, like, know what was going on. He thought that she'd been kidnapped. And so that's why Jinx calls him the boy savior right before their fight. It's... And, like, Jinx literally did have another option. She didn't have to stay with Silco. Like, there was somebody who went after her and tried to save her, and she said no. I'm very excited for season 2, because I think that Jinx is gonna do some, like, really fun things, especially now that Silco is dead. And I'm just really excited to see it, because, like, I've seen, like, some spoilery stuff that, like, shows... I don't want to get into it here. I've seen some spoilery stuff, and just a little bit, and I'm very excited for it. Because I think that something might happen, but then I also think that it might not happen. I don't really know. Yeah, Arcane Season 1, I think I will rate that... honestly, 5 stars. It was amazing. Oh, music. I keep forgetting music. This is going to be my music for the month of February. You might notice something a little bit, crazy, in that I listened to Death of a Profiteer by Nathan Apollo 50 times. Dude, that song's so good. Frankly, I don't think any song is going to be able to top it and become my top song for the year. I think I already know what my yearly top song is. Just something about the horns that's really good. Like, obviously, like, the lyrics are amazing. But, like, the horns in it are so good.
And you should have thought of that when you build them. Maybe I'm being too crazy. Don't make me pull up their names.
I think Maisie Peters has officially dethroned Taylor Swift as my favorite artist, which gasps are heard from everyone who knows me IRL. I think that Taylor Swift is no longer my favorite singer. Yeah. And, like, I think I knew that for a while. Like, I've known that for a couple months. I think Maisie Peters is going to be my top artist for the year as well. Unless, oh, I forgot. Reputation Taylor's version is coming out this year. Okay, I don't know that for sure. But if you look at the pattern, it's definitely coming out this year, and so is Debut Taylor's version, and then Taylor will release a new album in 2026. Debut will come first. Reputation will come out in, like, October or November, I think. Debut Taylor's version is probably going to come out in April or May. Reputation Taylor's version will come out a couple months after that. I'm so excited for Reputation Taylor's version. I don't want you to think that I don't like Taylor Swift anymore. I do. She's just not number one, she's number two. That is everything that I watched, read, or listened to in the month of February. Thank you so much for watching. I will be posting the Sims Color Wheel Challenge Part 2 next week. I'm just still editing that right now. And I wanted to get this video out before February was a long forgotten dream and none of this was relevant anymore. If you haven't watched Part 1, go ahead and do it. It's so fun. It's my first Gamer Girl video, and there will be a lot more Gamer Girl videos coming soon. So excited for them. Thank you again so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment about any of the media that I watched. I would love to talk to you about it. No spoilers, please, for anything that I am, like, watching that's ongoing or reading that's ongoing. You can say basically anything about it, just as long as there's no spoilers. Positive, negative, however you felt about it. I would love to hear, especially if you've got an opinion that's different from mine. Would love to hear about that. But yeah, I will see y'all next week, unless I die. Bye!